Namaste students, my name is JVS Dr. Neeraj Dholia, Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. So today we are going to discuss the topic that is microarray. In the previous lecture, we have also discussed the microarray topic, but it was not completed. So let's start. So in the previous lecture, we have discussed the introductory part, what is the microarray basically, and we have elaborated the DNA microarray. In this lecture, we will study what is the protein microarray and what is the need of the protein microarray, what is that, and what are the application, how to perform, etc. So the protein array is the method to find out the presence and activity of the proteins uh, and the at a micro level and the more than one, or we can say that the large number of proteins can be tracked simultaneously. So the chip consists of a support or a surface of uh, supporting material which to which an array of captured proteins is bound. So the probe molecules typically labeled with some reporting dyes, like the fluorescent dye may be there, and any reaction between the probe and the immobilized proteins emits a fluorescent signal that will be detectable. Okay, so the protein microarray are rapid, automated, they are economical to perform, and they have the much better sensitivity because it operates at minute levels. So the consumables are very the quantity is very small which is required, and the samples, the reagents are we can perform the experiment in very less amount. So the concept of and methodology of protein microarray uh, is the same as the microarray DNA microarray. So if DNA microarray or is already present, so what is the need of the protein microarray? Okay, so with the protein microarray, there are sorry, with the DNA microarray, there are some limitations which are faced by the users, because uh, the protein microarray uh, were developed for the study of the proteins. So proteins are the ultimate expressive part of the genome. Okay, finally, the functions which are performed by a cell uh, are conducted through the proteins, not by the messenger RNAs or the spliced proteins, etc. So the final product is the functional part. The quantity of mRNA in the cell, again, that does not reflect the expression levels of the proteins they correspond to it. So because it is usually the proteins rather than the mRNA that has the functional role in cell response. So, so a novel approach was needed rather than the DNA microarray. So additionally, some post-translational modifications are also there, which also determine the function of the proteins, and these post translation modifications are not detectable in the DNA microarray. So the protein microarray was the best option, and at some extent the proteomics techniques replaced replaces the 2D 2D gel electrophoresis and the chromatography techniques. So because it is they were the time consuming, they need very much of labor intensive, and they are not performed with the proteins which are low abundant proteins. Okay, so that was the logic behind developing the protein microarray. So now, so what are the various types of the protein microarray? So basically, there are the protein microarrays can be categorized into three types that are currently used for the study purposes. So first one is the analytical microarray, and the other name of the analytical microarray is the capture assays. So in this method, a library of antibodies is arrayed on a support surface, and these are used as capture molecules. Since each binds specifically to their counter proteins, so the array is probed with a complex protein solution such as the cell lysate. So analysis of the resulting binding reactions using various detection systems can provide the information about the expression levels of particular proteins in the sample, as well as the measurements of the binding affinities and the specificities. So this is useful in comparing the protein expression in different solutions. And for example, the cells responsive to a particular factor can be identified by comparing the lysates of cells treated with specific substances to grow under specified conditions with the lysates of control cells. So another application is the identification and the profiling of control versus diseased conditions. Then RPPA, that is a reverse phase protein microarray. RPPA involves the complex samples such as the tissue lysates. Cells are isolated from various tissues of interest and are lysed. The lysate are arrayed on the microarray and probed with the antibodies against the target protein of interest. These antibodies are typically detected with chemiluminescence or fluorescence or colorimetry assay. So it may be a colorimetric method, it may be fluorescence method, it may be ECL, or you can say the chemiluminescence based method. So the peptides are printed on these slides to allow the protein quantification of the sample lysates. So RPAs allows for the determination of the presence of altered proteins of other agents that may be the result of disease. So specifically, the modifications, the post-translation modifications, which are typically altered as a result of disease, can be detected using the reverse phase protein microarray. So again, a functional protein microarray is also there. So the functional protein microarray are constructed by immobilizing the large number of purified proteins and are used to identify the interaction of the protein with other things, like it may be other thing may be the other proteins, other DNA particles, RNAs, phospholipids, etc., or other biomolecules. Okay, it may be larger, it may be smaller molecule, but it will be the biomolecule, and the interaction of the protein with this biomolecule will be studied in the functional protein microarray. So to assay the enzymatic activity and they detect antibodies and demonstrate their specificity. So they differ from the analytical array. In the functional protein assay are composed of arrays containing full-length functional proteins or protein domains. These proteins chips are used to study the biochemical activities of the entire proteome in a single experiment. Okay. So the key elements in any functional protein microarray based assay is the arrayed proteins must retain their native structure such that meaningful functional interactions can take place, or on the array surface. The advantage of of controlling the precise mode of surface attachment through use of an appropriate affinity tag are that the immobilized proteins will have a homogeneous orientation, resulting in a higher specific activity and higher signal to noise ratio is assay with less interference from non-specific interactions. Okay, so let's talk about the detection, how to detect the signals. So this protein array detection methods, it gives a high signal and low background. So the most common and widely used method for detection is the fluorescent base. Okay, the colorimetric method is also there, but the fluorescence assay is widely used. So other labels can be used such as the affinity, photochemical, radioisotope stacks, etc. But these labels are attached to the probe itself and can interfere with the probe target protein detection. So therefore, a number of label-free detection methods are available. So carbon nanotubes, carbon nanowires, sensors, and micro electromechanical system also there. All these label-free detection methods are relatively new and are not yet suitable for the high throughput protein interaction detection. So the fluorescence assay is good till now. Immunoassays on thiol in synthetic paper micro pillar scaffold have shown to generate a superior fluorescence signal. So now we're talking about the uh, applications. So what are the applications of the protein microarray? So the major areas where the protein array is utilized are the diagnostic, the proteomics, protein functional analysis, antibody characterization, and in the research purposes. So the diagnostic involves the antigen and antibodies in the blood samples, the profiling of sera to discover new disease biomarkers, and monitoring of the disease states and responses to therapy in the personal medicines. So the monitoring of the environmental and food, again the proteomics having the role in the expression profile, that is which proteins are expressed in the lysate in a particular cell in a particular condition, and different cells of a single organism, which proteins are expressing and which are not. Again, the protein functional analysis is the identification of protein-protein interaction, then identification of number of protein complexes, protein phospholipid interaction, small molecule targets. So the interaction of the protein with other biomolecules is also studied. Further, the antibody characterization is the characterizing cross-reactivity, specificity, and mapping the epitopes. The development of treatment involves the development of antigen-specific therapies, for example, the autoimmunity, cancer, and allergies, the identification of small molecule targets that could potentially be used for the new drugs. So along all these things, protein chips have not widely used because some of its limitations, because the companies have found that proteins are actually quite difficult to handle. Why? The production of reliable, consistent, high throughput proteins that are correctly folded and functional in fraught with the difficulties, and they often result in low yield of protein due to the decreased solubility and the formation of inclusion bodies. So when you are going to produce the proteins, they forms the inclusion bodies. So a protein chip requires a lot more steps in its creation than does a DNA chip. Okay, so there are number of approaches in this problem which differ fundamentally according to whether the proteins are immobilized through non-specific poorly defined interactions or through a specific set of non-interactions. So the other challenges include the finding a surface and a method of attachment that allows the protein to maintain their original structure and activity, the tertiary structure or quaternary structure and activity, producing an array with a long shelf life so that the proteins on the chip do not denature over the short time. So we have to take care about this, its activity, its functionality will not be hampered. Okay, so this was all about the protein microarray. So hope you are satisfied with this tutorial session. If you have any query, you can write in the comment box. This session is powered by Digital Version 2, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. Thank you.